What's up, everybody? Hold on just a moment. Trying to get my phone here to work. Of course, I just turned it on, so... what's it doing? I'm going to get started here in just a second, but I'm trying to get my Facebook to act right. And that's okay, because it gives a little bit of you a little bit of time to get in here before we get started. Of course, my phone wants to act up. What? Okay, I'll come back for that in just a second. This is Breaking the Cage, Astrology TV with the Matrix Mind Media. I'm trying to light an incense here, but I got a fan going that's making it a little bit difficult because this little room I sit in gets a little bit cold. Gets a little bit hot if I don't have that fan going. And I want my incense going before I get into today's video. Trying to make sure I won't go right back out. This is a powerful time, people. It's a powerful, powerful time. But let me see one more time when I get this to come on and act right so that I can get on with the show. Of course, phone's acting stupid. Why is it acting stupid? I'm going to have to come back to that in a few. Anyway, I just recently turned the phone on and it had been charging. And so now it's trying to update on all the crap. I have the volume turned down. So I'm going to have to come back to that. I like to post out to my pages when I do the show so that I can get it all out at once. But this is Breaking the Cage. This is for November 27th through December 3rd. Now, I'm going to start connecting for you some of that, how we just went through that eclipse energy and how that energy, I know a lot of people like to follow the moon phases and they like to go through each phase individually, but I'm going to connect for you how these individual phases have a big jump start to where next year is going to be going and how it's going to connect with the eclipses that are going to be coming in, especially the one in May of next year, and how more or less, like I always say, an eclipse that's 6 months at a time. So I'm gonna get into all of that here, and I'm gonna be checking into the blueprint, get into the astrology, see what I'm seeing and what Spirit has given me to give everybody. But before I do, I always throw out there that if you are watching this through the Matrix Minds, you all know that Matt does everything for free. He does it all out of his own pocket, and he is always happy to accept donations. But if you're not a person who's about the donations, check with Matt, because he puts a lot of his special heart and soul and love into the crystals that he wraps up and makes them beautiful for necklaces for many of people. And I know that he's very particular about what he buys. So, if something's calling to you from something that he has put out, then definitely check, because any money he gets to helping us all stay on the air so that you guys can have the Matrix Minds is definitely something you want. Plus, he has the swag shop, so you can always get a t-shirt or a hat. A little bit of donation that helps, a little bit goes a long way. You guys do not realize in our jobs and what we do when we are not decoys and we are really coming out and giving you our heart and soul, how much of it literally is our heart and soul, and we're scraping to make it all happen, and it's our high vibrational energy is what makes it actually happen. Even though our human side gets a little frustrated and inferior of things from time to time, we've got to get ourselves out of that three-dimensional idea. With that being said, a lot of you know that because of the Matrix Minds, a lot of you know that I had been working at a metaphysical shop for quite a while as a part-time employee. However, I'm not going to get into all of that dirty stuff, but what I will state is I have a very large sale going on. And this is a one-time only thing. But hear me out. I say one time only. This may last until like February. You all have no idea the amount of products that I yanked out of that store. I want nothing to do with its vibration, nothing to be affiliated with me or it in any way, shape, or form. And because of this high amount of inventory that I pulled back, I stated that I'm making this like a sale of grab bags, but it's not really. It's kind of mix and match. And what I'm doing is that I'm taking most of those products. I don't like to sit on them. I want them to get to the people who need them. And I'm taking most of these products. There is nothing wrong with them, but I'm putting them at 50% off. So I'm selling them at groups that would be like $60 worth of products. I'm giving them to you for $30. Things that would have been $50 worth of products, I'm giving them to you for $25. Things that would have been $40 worth of products, I'm giving them to you for $20, plus $5 for what would be considered shipping and handling. But I'm giving you guys this because, like I said, it's more important for me to have yanked my product to make sure that they are getting to the vibration and the people that they can be helpful to than for me to make the money. It's way more important for me to get them to you and to not be sitting on them. I want them to get to the people who need them. So I have a lot of essential oils. I have a lot of mystical brews that I've created, you know, for grief, sorrow, shame, for breaking your patterns, for karma. I have ones that are for coming into your power, self-love. I have all kinds. If you're interested in any of these 50% off packages, they're mix and match. All you've got to do is contact me directly and I will hook you up, but contact me directly. Don't go to my Etsy shop because you're not going to get the sale there. This is only until I get rid of these products, but you have no idea the amount of products that I had. So I'm trying to give them away. It's Christmas time. Let them be perfect stocking stuffers, so forth. Anyway, with that being said, you can always look in the description box at how to find me and locate me personally, as well as I do have my own sessions, mentoring sessions that I do, your own personal astrological charts, you know, your ray of light. I have a lot of things that I do also. So if there's anything you want, you can always look at that description box and figure out how to contact me directly, and I will hook you up. With that being said, holy moly, as I'm starting to look into this week. This week's a powerful week. I didn't really go into next week too far, but some of that energy is still there in next week. And all I got to say is the hexagon is all over this energy. For those of you who don't know what the energy of the hexagon is, think of it as the Star of David, the seal of Solomon, the shield of Solomon. But it has some positives and some negatives when we look at it, because in astrological energy, this is coming up very much, and it sounds funny how I'm going to pronounce it, but it is, if you can understand my way of thinking. It is very harmonious neutral energy, meaning there's a lot of opportunities here harmoniously coming together, but neutral. So it doesn't necessarily have to be positive or negative. Depends on where your free will takes it. I know free will's a bitch, right? All right, here's the thing. On that last, what was it, new moon that just passed? It passed the day before Thanksgiving. On that day, Jupiter went direct. Jupiter is in Pisces, the universal 12th house. Now, for those of you who don't follow my astrology that well, I'm going to give it to you this way. What I give you is what I see in the breakdown of the cycle upon cycles upon cycles of the different ways of viewing the astrological energy. But I'm trying to give it to you from the universal standpoint. That energy is there no matter what. Now, if I was getting into your personal chart, I could direct it more at it's this house or that house. But for a universal standpoint, when I'm giving these, I have to do it from the cycles within cycles and look at it from that perspective so that I'm able to give it to as many people as I can. Now, in the universal energy, Jupiter bounced himself right on back into the 12th house while he was in retrograde. Well, now he's direct. And I kept saying Jupiter wasn't going to stay all year over there in Aries. He went back into retrograde back in July. He's recently gone back into Pisces, which is what threw up a whole lot of that energy, because that 12th house universally is your grief, your sorrow, your shame, your insecurity, where you lock your secrets up from yourself and avoid them instead of healing. The 12th house is about healing, but it's what we're blinded by. Jupiter is the magnet, it's the manifestation, it's the abundance, it's the higher knowledge, slapping down, I'm not going to let you ignore this shit. Well, now he's straight. He's going direct, and he's going to enter back into Aries on December 20th. But here's the thing, he stays until May of 2023. In May of 2023, you're going to have a lunar Scorpio eclipse coming right back up, bringing that whole cycle into one. So everything that is happening from, that last eclipse until the next one in May, you're more or less, this is one big chunk chain of what you're unraveling and correcting, or what you are full on in denial of, and you're not going to make it through those gates. Because there have been portals opening up everywhere. There's been ascension everywhere. I cannot even attempt to tell you how much spirit I am identifying with just on a daily basis. Even here in my own house, I'm like, where did you come from? There is so much that's coming up and out. But we're still just beginning this energy, people. The way my spirit guides kept reminding me is this past year and stuff, a lot of people who have been on our quest, our journey, starting to walk our walk and talk our talk, starting to learn how to come into the spiritual energy, we're being critiqued. You're being critiqued at the areas where you've been avoiding the critiquing. And I've spoken to you all a lot. I say a lot of times, I'm very upfront and honest with everybody about my own life. And I do that on purpose, not because I'm about me, but because I know you all need to know that you don't have a decoy out there who's just telling you some foo-foo light bullshit and trying to mislead you. Being in the light is not easy. Walking the truth is not easy. We slip and fall. I'm just like the rest of you. I find myself laying down in the ditch going, how the hell did I get here again? Just like you all did and do. And I've spoken many times about, how I take care of my mother. She's almost 80 years old and her dementia and everything. And how I was manifesting and my guides were like, yeah, you're a master manifester, but you're not seeing the bigger picture. You are manifesting despair, not the correction. This is what I'm talking about. Some of us have had a couple steps back that we've had to take because we're being critiqued on where we're not quite doing it quite right, where we're not quite getting our manifesting energies, our thinking energies, our high vibrational, stepping out of that 3D. And what does that really mean? Energies. A lot of these couple steps back that we got stuck with and got hit in the gut in the last little bit is because we're being critiqued into how to become, as I've been saying lately, we're becoming the most noble soldiers of light that you'll ever see. But in order for us to do so, we have to be critiqued from where we're making mistakes and where we're not growing, so we can. Now, this week, I was saying, you have the hexagon here. You have the seal of Solomon here. And the energies, I'm seeing it clear, but it's strangely a very harmonious, neutral energy. Now, you got to understand the hexagon, seal of Solomon, it speaks of both masculine and feminine energy. It speaks of the convincer side and the confusion side. It speaks of the magic and the spirit and the creation and the intuition of your knowing, the feminine energy. But it also speaks to you of the masculine, logical, practical, and taking action. It has all four elements in it. It speaks to you also of being the number of creation. It speaks to you of purification. It speaks to you of divine power and spiritual wisdom. But it also is speaking to us of both positive and negative in energy. It is representing the power of the strength of whichever one you choose to put your willpower into. It is also an hourglass that is holding the power of the tree of life in it. Now, I often, when I'm talking with my clients directly, and I'm working on Reiki and shaman energy, I start looking past your normal 7 chakras, and I start looking into the bigger amount of the chakras, and I start looking at this outside energy, your aura energy. And I'm always going, well, your tree of life is supposed to connect up and down, you're above and you're below. And often I come across where they're not connecting. And this is because of some issues that we have in other chakras that's keeping you from being balanced. We're seeing a lot of this. And where it's being sustained, that's the key here. Are you properly, truly digging and delving deep into the soul healing? These upgrades have a lot to do with us being able to critique these skills, because new skills are coming in, new gifts, new powers. And whenever we go into, like when a medium is starting to move into that, when an empath is starting to move more into that empathic moving more into the medium energy. They have to start to understand that. It's not like that happens overnight. Certain pieces may be very easy for them to pick up, but no medium is the same. We all pick up our energies in different ways, and this has a lot to do with our blueprint. And as we're learning to upgrade, well, the way we worked our old skills don't work quite the same anymore, because we're in a newer vibration. And as we shift vibrations, things that no longer can be connected because you've moved from one vibration to another, they must disappear. You cannot continue to be in a vibration that you are not part of, or you will lose the vibration you are part of and become part of the vibration that you are continuing to maintain to keep yourself in. And this has a lot to do with what we're looking at, how we're critiquing ourselves as we're stepping into that new creation, because that's what this is. This is a moment of seeding where you will take your soul self. How truly all in are you? And that has a lot to do with what I'm really talking about this week. All in is really a big step into where we're at. A lot of people define all in different ideas. All in is really, literally, it's not just your ride or die. It's understanding what all in maintains. And are you doing that for your spiritual growth, for your change, for where you're taking your life? And understanding that you have both the positive and the negative going on here. They're both being sustained in very strong vibrations right now. And it is entirely up to you as to what energies you're going to hold. Because it's harmonious, neutral energy. It's a trick, but one that you can make work for you. Now, let me get into the blueprints. And in case you haven't ever followed me before, the blueprint is all about the human body. Every person has a universal blueprint. Every person has a universal blueprint. It is the way the body works. However, hold on, I finally got this thing to work. Let me fix that really fast. Of course it ain't working. It's just the way it's supposed to be today. But every person has their blueprint. Our bodies are all the same way. The chakras are set up the same way. But each person is slightly different according to their natal astrological energies. When we take the natal astrological energies, well, then we place them in the human body. This changes the blueprint. This changes the way you grow, the way you're upgrade, the way that your DNA shifts. And it has a lot to do with the quarks, in a way, of the healing you brought for yourself as lessons to teach yourself what is going to work and what isn't, where you're going to have problems overcoming things because it was part of your lesson. And it's placed that way to also not keep you in a lower vibration, but to keep you understanding what you have to defeat in order to rise. Now, the blueprint speaks to us directly of Chiron, the wounded healer. That energy right now is literally sitting on the tongue. Now, for some of you, you don't read between the lines as well with this. And I'm trying, okay. Some of you don't read as well between the lines with this. But it's really simple. It's sitting on the tongue. It's talking to you about the wounded healer. The wounded healer is Chiron. He's great at solving everybody else's problems, but speaking up for himself, not so much. Actually making the healing happen, not so much. So this is us learning how, for one, to not be defined by the way everybody else thinks we are, or even the way that we may choose to speak it from the past, from the way who we once were. We speak, that is part of our creative energy. But we're talking about learning to speak our truths in a higher, healthier, vibrational way. Learning to speak it to where it's not that it's harming others. It's truthfully not about the harming others or not harming others. It's about, are we speaking our truths in a way that we are healing as we are speaking them? It's giving us liberty, giving us identification, giving us dignity, liberation. Are we able to stand in our power and speak what we are breathing into reality? Or are we tripped up in our mouth and our tongue, our throat, tongue-tied, won't quite say it? And that is nothing more than fear. That is nothing more than fear and getting stuck and worried in your own conversation. You have Taurus here, which has had Uranus in it forever, and the North Node. It is literally on the esophagus, how you're breathing, and the neck nerves, which is starting to connect the throat chakra, as well as with that Chiron energy, as well as with the zeal point. The zeal point has a lot to do this week. And like I said, you're talking about the seal of Solomon, the Star of David, the hexagon, having that energy being neutral, and can you control that power? This is having the power over the negatives, having the power over the demonic energies, having the power over the entities that would bring you harm, whether they are three-dimensional or not. The zeal point has a lot to do with this energy, the neck nerves, the throat, speaking, like I said, not getting tongue-tied, speaking your truth, doing it in a way that you are finding liberation, not finding push and shove and I'll take it because, well, the world freaking owes it to me. That's not power. That's fear. We're going to get there. The zeal point is always connected to the way you see the world. It's connected to the way the brain is receiving the energy of the way the eyes are actually seeing the world. How the eyes are viewing itself. Like when it looks in the mirror and it looks at its life and it looks at its home around it and it looks at the society that it's part of. And are you allowing that negativity to define your life, or are you defining your life? And as you're connecting it, it's going to hook directly into the energies that's going down that spinal cord. And then it's going all the way into, especially it's connecting this week, into where it's going to hook into that from the spinal cord into the hips, right down the femur and all the way down to the feet. I'm talking about your tree of life, your creation of energy. And if it's working, and look, the music even stopped when I said it. I don't make this shit up. You have Gemini. Uranus is your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. The North Node is everything you need to learn about speaking your truth. The Chiron energy technically is in Aries, but it is sitting here on the tongue, in the mouth. So this is all connecting with throat chakra, creativity, bringing your creativity out and showing the world who you are, speaking it and bringing it into reality according to how you speak it. Then we're going into Gemini, which is directing straight to the heart. It is literally sitting on energies that activate asthma, the breathing. It is, remember, Mars itself is in retrograde in Gemini, placing it in the heart chakra. It is not in the Leo energy, but it is being placed in the heart chakra of Gemini, the twins. Positive, negative, evil, heavenly, however you want to see it. Your Jekyll and Hyde energies, retrograde, the inner warrior, passion, action, aggression, fire, curious, and are you in control of, I've said it a million times, you cannot unleash your chaos or your power. You cannot unleash your full potential power if you cannot control your chaos. You must first learn to control your inner chaos and be able to unleash everything that is your power, positive and negative. You are more powerful than these entities that come to you, these negative situations. You are more powerful if you can believe in it. You can breathe and thrive your tree of life into creation. This is part of the energies of getting it this way to you, because I want you to feel how deeply and powerful this energy is. You have Mars here, though, that is in that question. Jekyll and Hyde, Gemini. But it's also speaking to you about your blood marrow. It is the blood in the body, the bone marrow of the body as well. It also speaks to your chest energy. It's speaking to your heart chakra of having the power of believing in yourself through forgiveness, acceptance, allowing, not accepting and forgiving other people for their wrongdoing, but by believing in yourself even when they've done you ugly. Don't let somebody else define who you are. Don't let somebody else break your heart and shatter it and crumble it into pieces and then take from you your power. That's when you let somebody else have your power. We're learning how to be wise, intelligent warriors. We're critiquing our skills. We're strengthening our heart chakras. We're back building for the true powers. Okay? It is sitting on energies that activate asthma. It is also going to be running directly through the spine. No, sorry, spine is something else. Directly through the kidneys as well, and the top ribs. The top of the kidney and the top of the ribs. Talking about up in here. So this is the chest energy. This is protecting our chest and feeling. When we're in our emotions and our hearts are getting in the way, our hearts are getting emotionally distracted, defeated. Don't tell me y'all haven't felt all that emotion the last couple weeks. I've been crying over everything. I'm like, this is such a beautiful thing, and I'm crying. And our emotions have been off the chart. That has a lot to do with Jupiter being back in Pisces. Coming right out of that eclipse energy. Starting a new beginning. We're really identifying with what matters. Your chest energy is telling you when you are in thinking that is actually not helping your blueprint, helping your body. When that asthma is kicking in, it's because you're emotionally getting attached to things that are not helping you forgive and forget, allowing yourself acceptance and self-love, telling you to slow down. Use the wisdom of the warrior, not the ignorance of the young warrior who's just ready to go out and chop off heads and do everything just go out there and fight, but not live to see the next day. You have Cancer, which has Lilith and Pallas in it, literally going through the digestive system. It's on the blood vessels of the digestive system. So we're talking about a lot of circulation in the body and in the blood this week as well. We're talking about how we're breathing, how we're speaking. You have the South Node, which is still in Scorpio, and it is literally on the birth canals, the sexual organs of life, death, and rebirth. We have Sag. Now I'm going to get into areas of the blueprint I normally don't speak about, and it's very important at this point. Because I normally don't get into detail about the blueprint on the lower chakras. I call them the lower ego chakras because they're not as well known. People just want to get into the mainstream top 7 and ooh la la. No, I've been told by my guides for a long time now that it is no longer sufficient for you to do the bare minimum. It is important for you to start acknowledging all of your body, all of these chakras. There's a whole ton more chakras, but I'm just talking about the ones that are actually in the body. The main ones that you need to be paying attention to, because we're avoiding them and we're not flushing out the lower vibrations because we're avoiding them. Now you have Mercury, Venus, and the Sun all in Sag. Sag would be considered part of the root chakra, but it actually gets into another chakra. Now, I didn't write down the chakras. I wrote down what it's about. I don't remember to write down the names of them. But Sag gets into a chakra that has a lot more to do with fear, despair, confusion, promiscuity, how you'll use people in sexual endeavors, that flirting bit to get what you want, or sexuality to get what you want. But it also has to do with not knowing yourself, not standing in your power because there's fear. You think you have to manipulate a situation to make something happen. Fear turns into anger, resentment, and all of these other things that we do that are just down and dirty. You have Venus here, you have the Sun here, and you have Mercury here. Your communication. And literally that energy is on the femur. Is it the femur? Yes. It is literally going into the femur, which is the bone from your hips to your knee. That energy is connecting directly into the hip bones, which is connecting directly into the spine so that you are able to move. This is sending those signals of that zeal point of opening you up to chakras and holding them into, energies that are more negative or positive and flushing them out. All according to the way you are perceiving your life, your world, your view. Your free will choices to stay in the lower vibrational three-dimensional will or to rise up out of that and not be defined by it. This energy isn't just connecting with your chakras of your mainstream, not ever. But I'm showing you, especially this week, in that Star of David energy in the body, how it is literally activating your illumination, which is your sun. It is your ego, both. Illumination means I'm bringing to light, whether it's soulful or whether it's ego. I'm bringing to light what the truth really is. I'm bringing to light what's being seen. This is all being taken place in Sagittarius. Remember, Sagittarius on the universal scale also holds the galactic center. All right. We're talking about our communication with ourselves and the outer world. We're talking about our sensitivity and the outer world. This is just the blueprint. Forget what's going on in the actual astrology. I haven't gotten even to that yet. We are talking about it directly connecting into the femur, the bones in the legs, into the hips, and into that chakra, into the spines, going directly up into the zeal point and out through the eyes. And I'm going to connect it all the way down to the feet from what you're pulling up from this world. I tell people 1,000,000 times, people love to talk about grounding yourself, but you also have to know what you're grounding yourself in. This world has been here for so long. It has seen so much death and bloodshed that not everything and every place where you can ground yourself if you're walking around barefoot. Not all places have good, clean energy. This is also why it's important for us to bless our feet. Our feet are responsible for everything and every place they take us. Then comes into the knees, the ability to move, because the knees have the joints which allow the legs to go in a specific direction. Then it starts to come up into the chakras. What are we pulling up into ourselves? Are we pulling up into ourselves? Lower vibrational energies are higher, and you have the ability to choose according to where you're taking your mind and your eyesight, 3-dimensionally or higher. It's all free will. You have that Mercury, that Venus, and that Sun, which is speaking to you. Like I said, it is the femur, the sciatic nerves in the hips, and directly connecting to the spine. Mercury also has to do with your lungs, anything you have two of, your intestines, because there's the bigger part and the smaller one, the arms. It has to do with anything that there's two of. It has to do with your bladder, your breathing, your brain, how it actually is thinking and acting. Then you have Venus, which is your senses. It has a lot to do with your sexual organs as well, the water in your body as well, which would mean the blood circulation. Sensitivity. Venus is your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, and your physical. When you put your hand in an oven cooking, Christmas cookies at this time of year, 365 degrees, and you don't have an oven mitt on, and you burn the shit out of your hand, that is Venus going, we don't do these things, it hurts us. Venus does not just tell you about love and foo-foo stuff. Venus is your emotional sensitivity. She's going to tell you when to tap into something that is good and when to tap in and acknowledge when it's bad. She's going to tell you all about the betrayal, the lies, and the deceit, and she's going to tell you how to charm what you want. But we're talking about it in an area of Sagittarius, coming from learning from that galactic center of everything that we have a problem fearing, and where we tell ourselves the lies, despair, denial, and how are we acting on this? It's illuminating the sun, helping us to know what we have to critique. Then you get into the Capricorn energy, where Pluto's been forever. This isn't anything new, but Pluto is getting near the end of it. It's at, we're moving on, right? We've learned. We're ready to learn. We're going to show what we've learned, right? Where we let the dead do the dead, we start to live our high vibrational energies. We're no longer dealing with this 3D trap. It is, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. It is the knees. The knees are what allows you to move. If the knees, lock up, you have trouble moving. You have trouble pivoting, you have trouble running, walking, and directing yourself. This is the energy here speaking to us about that growth. Then we have, as we get into as we get into Aquarius, we're getting into that push and shove energy. We are talking about Saturn in Aquarius. I'm gonna try something new. You will not hold me back anymore. I will not be put in this place. I will not be stuck in the corner. I am able to grow. I will take it. But how are we doing it? Are we doing it from push and shove? Are we allowing somebody to put us in the corner to where we have to push and shove our way out just to prove to the world that I'm not who you said I was? That's still falling for the definition of what they defined you as. Coming into your power, like I've been saying a lot lately, the solar plexus is to teach you. We use the words I am when we are speaking of the solar plexus, because we're teaching you how to get liberated. We're teaching you how to have that dignity. We're teaching you to reclaim your power. We're teaching you to bring back that energy of I am worthy. I am valuable. I am successful. I am anything I put my I am in front of, because I can create it to be that way. But the key is, once you already know, you don't have to use I am anymore. You may do it to keep yourself in the right tone, keep saying it to give yourself that self-confidence, that validation, to keep, affirmizing it, giving yourself daily affirmations. And that's all perfect. But once you come to being in that power, I don't have to tell you how I am, because bitch, I am. I don't have to come out and show that lion in a cage. I will push to receive. I have boundaries, and I will force them upon you. You will do as I say. That is fear. Being threatened into showing it when you're really not in it, and someone else is sitting back going, I can direct their life. And I say it that way because the chakra that deals with the calves and the lower part of the leg deals with selfishness. It deals with where anger prevails. It deals with, I have to look out for number one because nobody else will. It's a place of despair, not a place of power. You have to make sure you're keeping your head checked in these things, because we manifest incorrectly when our head is not right and we don't know the difference. Critiquing our skills so that we are manifesting and growing into that warrior power that most noble soldiers ever created of life. And last but not least, as far as the blueprint is concerned, you have Pisces. Pisces is the feet. I say 1,000,000 times that you need to be blessing your feet. You should be giving yourself salt baths. Just special ones for your feet. Just special ones to say, guess what? I know I took you some places that were shitty today. I know I walked myself into some places that really isn't good for me. But you know what? I forgive you for me making you have to do that to me. This is about self-love. This is what the idea and the stories of blessing your feet was about. If you cannot love yourself right, at least forgive it right. And then start teaching yourself how to love it right. Because the energies from the lower vibrational chakras of the feet are the worst. They are the energies of destructiveness. They are the energies of, well, this whole freaking world owes me, and because you owe me, I'm just going to take it. I'll steal it, and I'll take it, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Again, to that push and shove energy. That's despair. That's not power. It's getting into where we're in our depression, but we don't even want to honor and own that depression. We're in denial about it. It is also, like I said, where we steal, where we manipulate. The feet chakras are also where murder takes place. It's some of the most ruthless energies that mankind can have. This is why it's important to bless yourself from the energies you are pulling in from the ground up through your body and into those chakras, because you are sending those chakras into a healthy existence, reloading your upper 7, your mainstream 7, because otherwise all you're doing is cleaning the mainstream 7 over and over again while your lower vibrations just keep stepping up there and you're not actually moving forward. This is about connecting your tree of life, connecting your connector of your creator inside of you, and connecting your divine power, your divine wisdom. And then coming into, I don't have to say I am, because that's just me convincing you. I already am. I'm helping you to understand some of what the body is going through as we are feeling these healings, as we are going through these changes, as I get into the actual blueprint of the astrology, not the human body. The astrological energy has, where I said I'm seeing the Star of David itself, and it is, or the Seal of Solomon, the hexagon, however you want to see it. It is literally being made up of Pluto, that 10th house, your outer world, your authority of the outer world, your honor, your reputation in the outer world, how you're viewed and seen, versus how the authority deals with you because of you either having your power or not having your power in the outer world. It is speaking to that South Node in the 8th house of Scorpio, trying to tell you where you have connections to things that you will not grow, where you're in your comfort zone, and your comfort zone is giving you the idea of, no, my boundaries and stuff are set up just fine. I'm perfectly just okay the way I am. The fact that the South Node's still in Scorpio is saying, no, to hell it ain't. It has to do with our higher vibrational thinking. How we have to start being in a bigger picture. And how we have to let the dead to the dead and start again, begin again. Start to reignite our sparks. And then it is speaking directly with that Mars energy, our communication with ourselves of who we are, how we see ourselves, how the world sees us, all from the outer authority. What is the world seeing of you? This has a lot to do with if you're in the negative or if you're letting the outer world populate your idea. Will you be defined by the outer world? There's a lot of people, when they get pushed or shoved or manipulated or pushed back into a corner, they don't always come out like a lion and roar. Sometimes they just take it. And this is saying, yes, I will allow you to tell me that this is the way it has to be. This is saying no. How we speak to ourselves, how our heart chakra accepts but makes changes. I accept what was. Now I'm going to tell you what is. Because I'm coming back into my power. Not because I have to push you around. I have the power of my own outer world. And this is how how this is going to go down. By making these changes, stepping out of our comfort zone and trying new things. For those of you who follow me, you know, I've been saying a lot of times, you've heard me say, I'm doing this sale now on my products. I yanked them all from the store, and I don't want them to be affiliated with this place in any way, shape, or form. I am very unhappy with the situation that took place there. It's very low vibrational, want nothing to do with it. I don't want my babies in there. I don't want them hurt. They're my products, very high vibrational products. I want them to, be able to help the world the way that they should. I didn't take the smack down of going, oh, you're going to put me in my place and hurt my feelings. No, my guys are like, look, this is round 2, bitch. They were like, round 2. They were like, in the beginning of the year, you quit your other job and you started seriously working on yourself. Well, that was a background help. Now we're at round 2. Come into your power, stand up and show the world you can do this, not because I need to show you, but because I need to remind me. This is what I'm talking about. We're coming into round 2 of getting ourselves in the proper vibration of where we're moving. We're learning how to be better at what we've done because there's so much more to learn. If we're not so stuck in our ways and think we know it all. This Star of David energy is speaking, like I said, with that Pluto, that South Node, and that Mars. But it is also speaking with Mercury and Venus, Lilith, and Pallas, and Uranus and the North Node. This is the higher self connecting with our lowest part of our ego selves, our fear, our disappointment, our confusion, our anxiety, where we're doubting ourselves. Our higher self is showing us where we have to grow and what we have to overcome. Then it is directly connecting with that 4th house of Lilith, where stop being submissive. This is time for you to love you. This is your internal emotional growth, your inner emotional security. You build your inner emotional security by having self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Otherwise, we're lowering it when we don't feel like we are dignified. We don't feel like we are liberated. When we feel like we are pushed into the corner, we lower our self-worth. This is about not being submissive, but not being an asshole. And then speaking into our independence, our individuality, our uniqueness, our freedom, and breathing it into our expression, our communication, our life, then connecting again with that Pluto, that South Node, and that Mars. This has come full circle, guys. This has come full circle, full source. Punch you down. I'm giving you the neutral energy, harmoniously neutral, for you to decide, well, where will you strengthen it? Because it's incredibly more powerful than you can ever realize. Just like we say you all are. You're more powerful than you will ever realize. And even when you start to realize, you're still only realizing that much of really what you have. You have the South Node, which is having the same kind of conversation with Chiron, the wounded healer. And the South Node are going, this is what I keep doing wrong, this is what I keep doing, this is where I keep stepping on the same thing, and I keep not making changes, and I keep having the same relationships, and I keep talking to myself the same way over and over and over again. Nostalgia is coming in to remind you where you're having these issues. We're taking until May and the next eclipses to make these critiquings. Adjust, strengthen, reload your ammunition. You have Chiron and the North Node, which are also having a sextile energy. This means the North Node is everything you need to learn about speaking up and speaking your truth. Chiron is giving him the energy of, yes, this is where you've had problems. I know it's a little bit scary, but you can do it. And if you do, I promise it's going to be something that's going to be wonderful. But you can't back down. You have Mercury and Venus, which is talking with Saturn. Again, feeling a little scared about making some of the changes that you're going to make. Not necessarily comfortable. Comfortable does not work for us. Being uncomfortable is what gets us where we need to go. Saturn rules walls, boundaries, stepping into the outer world with authority, making sure that our friends, our groups, our membership are actually part of our soul tribes. Do they pat us on the back? Do they want to see us grow? Or are they just manipulating the situation for what they want? Were they only friends with you to get what they wanted out of you? But wait a minute, now that you might be growing, it's different. Sensitivity and communication, the sun illuminating what you're afraid to see about some of these peers, some of these relationships that you have in your outer world. But does it truly strengthen your goals, your dreams, your ambitions? Or are they keeping you from completely realizing who you are? It's telling us exactly what we need to do and who we need to pat on the back for being great people and who we need to go, yeah, red flag, and just not having it anymore. Then we have Pluto and Jupiter. Pluto is, though I walk through the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Jupiter is going, I'm not taking names anymore, I'm just cleaning house. I see what needs to be done, but the problem is it's Pisces. Will you allow the illusion and delusion to mess with you? I say all the time, Neptune is where fantasy smacks you in the face with harsh-ass reality. We have Jupiter here, not too far from Neptune, and Pisces going, harsh reality, slap down, here you go. I'm showing you what you need to do. Are you going to listen? Or are you going to just tell yourself another story? All of these are positive, giving you the ammunition. I've showed you. I've opened up the pathway. I'm showing you what you have to do. But do you have the courage to do it? That's the key. You have Lilith and Pallas. Athena, the warrior goddess, her strategic thinking versus Lilith's submissive nature here in Cancer, going, no, this is how I'm going to love myself right. I'm not going to give away just to give away. I'm not going to just be the good person while I'm giving all of my heart and soul. And what do I ever get to show for it? It's saying love yourself It is speaking with Jupiter. Oh, Jupiter and Neptune. The opportunity is here for you to choose yourself and grow, but its choice is yours. This is why it's twisted, harmonious, neutral. You got both the angel and the devil on your shoulder going, which one will he pick? Which one will he pick? Which one will he pick? You have Chiron and the sun, illuminating how to make the healing change come to be, all by choosing you. The challenges, on the other hand, speak of walking away from the healing, ignoring yourself, walking away from your inner psychic ability, walking away, trying to close back down your 3D, trying to close you back down to 3D, not growing, staying stagnant. The challenges is Mars and that heart chakra and Gemini, Jekyll and Hyde, communication, acting too fast off of the energies coming off of that Venus and Mercury in that 8th house. Losing your mind with something that's happened and just acting out of spite and emotion at the moment instead of having any control over your own feelings. Again, you will never be able to harness your full potential power if you cannot control your inner chaos. Your inner chaos is teaching you pieces of your truths. It doesn't mean that you have to not love yourself right. I will say 1,000,000 times, I get, it always messed with me. I would be whenever I found myself the most angriest or maddest, I would feel the vibration surging through my fingers, my feet, my legs. And I used to think that made me, I was like, does this make me evil? Why is it when I'm pissed am I the most high vibrational? It wasn't that. It took me a long time of working. You guys know I did with Graham. It took me a long time of working with him to realize, no, fool, you ain't lying to yourself anymore. You are in so much truth, but what will you do with the truth you have? You have to slow down long enough to be able to dissect that stuff. You have the Mercury is also not getting along with the sun, which is in that energy as well. This is your 8th house of your relationships, your honor. I mean, your relationships. It's your joint resources, joint efforts, joint finances, your rules, walls, and boundaries of how to make these relationships healthy or not. It's not just you in the relationship. Your Mars, your communication, your sensitivity, your communication, your sensitivity, your illumination of that truth. And then that is not getting along with Lilith and Pallas, going, well, if I just give it to them, I don't have to fight. I say this about, I love my Libras, but I will say this 1,000,000 times. Sometimes we create harmony and justice because we want so much for things to be harmonious, but what you're doing is you're creating harmony in an area it is not meant to be. If you are not loving yourself and you're loving something more than you, this is a big manifestation lesson I learned from my guys. Anytime you give something the power over you, you give the manifestation directly over to it. You're no longer part of that equation. Whether it's a human being or despair or anger or fear. We can manifest for money, but if what we're really manifesting is, I have to have this and I need that, and oh my God, I gotta have this because I need it, and this has to happen, and I've gotta make this happen. No, what you're manifesting is fear. You may get what you want, but you won't get to keep it. So this is what I'm saying. Your inner emotional security, do not go against it. When you are in these relationships right now, you are and the communication of what the relationship could grow on, and the truths of what is being shown, the sensitivity, and seeing all of it for what it is. Do not back down your inner emotional security to make someone else happy. Don't put yourself on a lower vibration or a lower definition. You should be equal. You should never be lower. You have the North Node in Uranus in that second house. Your manifestation itself, your law of attraction, depending on your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. And it is not getting along with that South Node either, that 8th house of making you stand on your own, stand strong-footed, giving you a good place to build a proper foundation. And it's not getting along with Saturn, the rules, laws, and boundaries. It's saying, okay, I'll do what I was told, and you can have it, and I'll sit here like a good little girl. No. This is saying be bold, be courageous, step into the power, but step into it with the I am, not I have to be. Because that's more of despair. Make sure you know the difference. You have Jupiter, which is not getting along with the South Node, your highest of knowledge, that is stepping to you from the 12th house before it moves back into the 1st house on the 20th of December. It is not getting along with that South Node because it knows where the South Node is going. I bet you won't grow. I bet you'll just stay in this comfort zone. I bet you'll stay with the same relationships, having the same way that they've always been, whether it's your husband, your wife, your work-related, your family. We have relationships with any and everything we care about. I will say it a million times. You have a relationship with your car and with your job. But when you have no car, when you have no job, you know all about that relationship. This is the relationships talking to you about what are you going to do? What responsibility are you going to take in these relationships? How are you going to acknowledge the changes that have to be made for healing in your own life? Jupiter is honest and the North Node. Being able to speak that truth, coming into that dignity, coming into that liberated energy, and seeing you create the world you want to create. Or will you just become part of the possession and the sheep? Then you have Jupiter, which is also not getting along with Venus, Mercury, and the Sun. Will you hold on to fear? Or will you embrace your power of who you are? Because that's where it is this week. Where will you create? Will you create the negatives so let themselves in? There's a reason there's that story of the Seal of Solomon, to be able to control all of those demons. Because you're in control of you. Or will they control you? Love you guys. See you next week.